Hey everyone, welcome to another Webflow workshop. I am your host, Nelson. Thank you for joining me this week. This is episode 148 of the Webflow live streams. Yes, this week we're going to be talking about first time user experience or user onboarding to a web app and how the team at Webflow does it. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this on the stream is because learning a new app or learning a new design tool can be very daunting. There's so many buttons. If you just jump into a platform, there's so many buttons everywhere. I just remember when the time when I started to play around with Photoshop for the first time, and I was just a teenager, and I was like, okay, there's so many buttons. What does what? And I would just click around and try to mess with stuff on the canvas and see what things do. And then if I was unsure, I would try to YouTube it, and it was just very daunting. But I got through it. But when it comes to other design tools that you want to master really quickly, and you want to see, hey, is this worth my time to learn, or is this worth the money to subscribe to? There needs to be a good onboarding experience. And I brought a special guest from our team, Chloe Chi, which I'll introduce her into the stream after I get these first announcements out. But yeah, that's the topic for this week. Now, before we get Chloe in, I just want to say, if this is your first time in the live stream, welcome. If you haven't seen the live stream before, or you're watching a recording, these streams happen every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And it's always on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/webflow. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so and hit the notification bell so you'll know when we go live. You'll get that notification on your phone or on your email. Just click on the link and you're here. So again, welcome to everyone who's in the live chat room right now. All of you are amazing. Now let's go ahead and get Chloe in. Let me see here. There we go. Hi, Chloe.
Hi,
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So you've been working a lot with the team to make the user onboarding or the first time experience for the community a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And besides the first time user experience, what else are you working on with the team that to help grow the product?
Yeah. So I lead three smaller teams here at Webflow. And so it's a little bit all over the place, but I'll just quickly cover them. So one of my teams is actually interactions. So we won't talk about that as part of, maybe this workshop, but I may be back in the future to show off some like cool new interactions that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then my second team right now is the dashboard. So this is all the things you probably may not think about on a day-to-day basis when you're actually designing things or in the designer, but have a really big impact on your Webflow experience with things, particularly when things go wrong. So
Yeah.
things around billing and your project settings and publishing, everything that lives sort of outside of the core designer experience. And then the third team, which
Mm.
is kind of why I'm here today, is a team that we're calling Growth. And this is really just the start of the growth org or the growth function at Webflow. So we're still like figuring out what it's going to be like. And we're going to be hiring more people and growing that team. But when we think about growth, it's really focused on an entire end-to-end customer journey. So from discovering Webflow to signing up for Webflow to actually using the designer for the first time. So that's when we think about first time use, that's really what we're talking about. But then it goes beyond your first time, right? So we actually think about user activation as like the goal of this part of the journey, which is how do you go from sign up actually through your first time, maybe in the designer, or the first time in the product, to coming
Mm.
back every day over the next 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and really building like your first portfolio site or your first site, hitting publish for the first time or
Yeah.
exporting for the first time and really feeling like, wow, like I accomplished something and I really did something great, to now it's a part of my day-to-day life. And I use Webflow to run my business or to build to, serve clients. And it's really like a core part of my work experience. At that
Yeah.
point, we would consider you like truly active. So that's the
Yeah.
entire journey, not just, your first time in the product. But the
Mm,
growth team is also thinking about other things beyond that. Like once you're an active Webflow user, how do we continue to make sure that you're successful and you're continuing to engage with the product? So a lot of cool things in flight there. But activation is where
mm.
we've focused the vast majority of our energy.
Yeah.
And most growth teams at tech companies spend a lot of time on activation because that's sort of like the um, first part of the journey, if you will.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've met a lot of people in design communities that, especially if you're a graphic designer, they get scared of Webflow because immediately they think, okay, this is too much for me. I need an easier, more templated platform or something, and they don't really understand the full flexibility and capability of Webflow and how it's really not there to you don't have to code inside of Webflow, but a lot of graphic designers feel like you do need to, and so trying to explain that in a way that's easy for that journey is something I'm really interested in how you and your team have done it, because during some of our all hands meetings you mentioned, oh, we've done this for new user activation and all this stuff, and I'm like, I've never seen any of this,
Yeah.
obviously, because I activated my account back in 2013. So yeah.
I'm really excited to share this because I think probably a lot of the people who are watching right now, right, like are already part of the Webflow community. So probably some of
Yeah.
the new things that we've been working on, like no one on this stream or a lot of people on this stream haven't seen. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to share that.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if you're already if you're in the live chat room right now, you're watching a recording, and you're already a Webflow veteran, or you already know how to use Webflow, maybe these new things that you'll see in the stream are a way to tell your friends, hey, Webflow is not that scary. Here's some of the new stuff that they've done that may help you learn Webflow much more smoothly. So, I see that. Hold on, I need to make one housekeeping fix, and this might go on the stream. Let me see here. I have to change the bottom title. JTL called me out. Thank you so much. The title and the footer is incorrect. Let me change that. Okay, cool. My Photoshop isn't on the stream. Okay, so
Just a
do
little
you
behind the scenes
want?
magic.
Yes, I forgot to do this, and I don't want to. Um, yeah, I don't want to. Like during the at the end of the stream, I see the bottom title and it's incorrect. And I'm like, oh my god, I should have changed that. So now I'm just changing that now. So please bear with me.
What does it say
Okay,
right now?
it's I don't know. I'm overwriting it right now.
Okay.
I'm just going as fast as I can. Please bear with me. Uh,
It should have
overlay.
brought like a distraction.
Okay, I think that's good. I've save. Go here. Okay, cool. Yeah, I changed it. Haha, it never happened. So, um, so let's go ahead and speak about the Okay, so we've already talked about the specific journey. But is there anything you want to talk about on the use case, or on starting point, learning style? Let's go ahead and go into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So when we think about new user activation, what I think, Webflow, unlike a lot of other like very simple web apps, because it's this pro design tool that really allows you to do anything, it's kind of a complicated problem when you think about activation. And part of what's driving that is that we have so many different types of users who have different use cases who are using Webflow. And so, in order to actually activate these different, very different groups of users, we need to kind of like zoom out and really think about, well, what are their goals? And the goals really differ by the type of use case. So imagine you are a freelance designer and your goal is
Yeah.
ultimately, right, to use Webflow to build sites for clients. That's like a very simple use case.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal there then is really to master Webflow. So it's mastery. You need to feel comfortable and confident enough in the tool that you really feel like, well, no matter kind of what my client throws at me, I either already know how to do it or I'm going to be able to figure it out pretty quickly. And that's
Yeah.
a very high bar. And we know that that like activation journey is very steep. On the other hand, if you are, so I was just talking to a new user a couple of days ago who is a student who's finishing his MFA, and he just really needs to get his like new portfolio site up and running.
Yeah.
And he's an interactions designer, so he's not like, he hasn't built a ton of websites. And so he was still experiencing some of the learning curve associated with Webflow. But if you think about his perspective, he's like, I don't really want to invest time in watching 40 hours of content. I don't actually want to
Sure.
go through like a full workshop with Nelson, as useful as that might be. I just want to like learn exactly what I need to do to get this one site built. Because that is the goal that I'm trying to achieve right now, and that's very different, right? So
Yeah.
similarly, if you're a business user and you just want to like get your store up and running, that might be the last site you ever build on Webflow, and so you don't
Yeah.
actually need to learn like every single interaction tool before you
Huh.
feel confident like you've achieved your goal. And so if you think about just those two types of users, the journey that they should take in order to experience value from Webflow or become active on Webflow um, can start to diverge a lot. So we really need to think about like, how do we personalize your journey to fit your specific use case? And of
Yeah.
course, there's like all of these other wrinkles that we want to account for in personalizing that experience. Like if you are an experienced web designer and you have some knowledge of HTML and CSS, we know this from research, you have a much, much easier time learning
Yeah.
Webflow than if you've never heard of the box model before and you're approaching, this kind of mental model for the first time.
Mm-hmm. That it seems like you're trying to hit so many different personas,
Yeah,
and there's like all these different roads to take depending on the persona.
that's exactly right. And so where we really started was we did focus in on kind of like the freelancer persona,
Okay.
because that still accounts for a very large percentage of our users. And we focused in on actually the set of people who maybe don't have very advanced HTML and CSS experience, because we
Mm-hmm.
know that for that group of users and that persona, the
Yeah.
learning curve is like quite a bit steeper.
Yeah, and I think these um new user activation things that you're adding to the platform, they're targeting more of those type of people, correct?
For now, yes, but this is
Yeah.
like really just the tip of the iceberg. So we've only been working on it. We've only really spun up this team to focus on this since January. So it's
Oh.
just been a few short months. And so we have a long roadmap and a long journey ahead of us. But so far, yeah, we've primarily focused on that set of users.
Okay, that's good because I recently went to a senior portfolio review over at San Diego State University, and I was looking at all the every student brought their laptop and then a portfolio book. These are all graphic designers, and I'm looking at each laptop with their homepage, and I'm like, that's probably Squarespace, that's probably Wix, that's probably something else. And sure enough, it was, and it makes sense because like when you're stressing over your portfolio book, you're not really caring about your portfolio site and you just need something done quickly and you don't want to learn HTML and CSS, especially if you're a graphic designer. So I'm really interested to know how you're going to what you and your team are doing to help graphic designers get into the web using Webflow.
Yeah. So what's been interesting is that like when we first started, right, like this
Mm-hmm.
actually isn't the first team that's spun up work around helping new users learn Webflow. It's just that historically, a lot of our investment as a company has been actually outside of the product. So if you think about like all of our great Webflow University content between the tutorials and the videos, your workshop, other people in the community, our forums, our amazing blog that actually has a lot of great content, like all of we've had like a very large ecosystem of tools to actually help people learn Webflow. And if you talk to users, I think many of you who are watching probably actually use these tools or discovered these tools as you were learning Webflow, and that's how you became
Yeah.
successful. What we haven't done a good job of historically is if you sign up for Webflow, So, if we rewind back to January, your
Yeah.
experience signing up for Webflow would look like this. Like you would go to a sign up page, you would fill in, your information, and then we would show you a pop-up modal with a questionnaire that says, what best describes you? Are you a designer? Are you a developer? Are you a business owner? And what do you want to build today? And then you fill that out. And then we don't do anything with that information, or we didn't do anything with that information. So we were sort of collecting it for our own data gathering purposes, but we sent you directly into the page where it says like create a new project. And now you have 20 different templates.
Yeah.
Or maybe, more than that. And it's a whole page of templates. You can pick from a blank or a template. And that page really isn't personalized. And so what we're doing there is assuming a couple of things, like one, that everybody needs to get into the designer, and two, that everyone who signs up, regardless of your experience or what you told us you wanted to build, should browse from the same set of templates. And that was really the experience. And so what we've tried to do over the last 4 or 5 months is to to chip at in small ways that flow, and to make something that's like a little bit more personalized, so that as you're going through the sign up, we're not leaving you totally alone. And we never introduce, like, as part of that journey, we never say, by the way, we have like hours of amazing content that you should probably look at. Here are the core concepts around the web or around Webflow that you might need to know in order to be successful. Like, we basically didn't do any of that, and we kind of let users discover those resources on their own. And so that's been like a big area of opportunity for us.
Yeah. Like, it just, again, just like me dropping into Photoshop for the first time ever, and nothing's there to help me. Like, hey, you're on your own. Welcome to the canvas. Welcome to the tool. Draw a smiley face. I don't know, but it's nice to hear that we're getting there. We're doing something with the data. I didn't know that we're not doing anything with that. I thought, okay, I'm gonna put freelancer, or developer, and something different's gonna happen. So I'm glad that there's actually now something's happening with that data. Yeah. So besides that, like, is there any demos or something you can show us, or?
So maybe what I'll do is share a little bit about kind of like what we learned. And then I would love to show you guys some of the things that some of the small pieces of onboarding support that we've introduced over the last
nice. Okay.
month. So I thought it might be helpful to share a little bit of like the user research that we did, to give everyone a little bit of context around like why we chose to do certain things. So like I said before, what we did at first is, we know that there's such a diverse set of use cases, but we did hone in on, the users who do want to master Webflow. And so, we're starting to think about now some of these other use cases, but the work over the last 5 months has assumed, or has focused on, the set of users who in your first session after sign up, like, our goal is actually to get you into the designer, because ultimately, we want you to master the designer and be able to do whatever you want. And so that's kind of like one of the constraints. And we did a ton of user research. And so this is like pretty typical of a lot of our product development process. So we would do, I talked to a number of users, new users who did become successful. And these would be very exploratory conversations where I just say, when you signed up, like, what did you do? Did you start from a blank project or from a template? What was that experience like? And then we also did like a more robust user survey, just to validate some of those learnings and hypotheses that we generated from the interviews. The other thing that I did that was very, very interesting, very insightful, and also a little bit painful, was I recruited a number of people who were, graphic designers who had some design background, but didn't have a lot of web knowledge. And I asked them, and they had never used Webflow before. And I asked them to sign up for Webflow, and I would watch them via like a screen recording. And I would just say, obviously it's not 100% natural, but let me just
Yeah.
observe you if you were signing up for this tool for the first time, like what you would do. And when you get stuck, like I'm not going to help you, just do what you would normally do.
Oh,
And that
okay.
was like a really fun and insightful process where I really had to restrain myself to prevent, me from actually jumping in and helping users. But
So
I
were
learned
you like feeling like, oh, click that, please, click that, but you
right,
couldn't say it? Like, it's over there,
exactly,
you can do it.
exactly. And
Oh,
it's really like, you talk to people and they talk about the problems they experience, but it
yeah,
really changes your perception when you have to watch somebody go through it. You watch somebody like drag a div into a template they've selected, and
yeah,
now like their layout is completely messed up, and they're trying to drag this div to resize it on the canvas, and of course they can't do that, right? And
or
so
is their webcam on at the same time when they're doing this?
sometimes they would be, depending on like the setup. But yeah, you could see
Oh,
their
okay.
face and their. I think that
Yeah,
because they know somebody is watching, it's not totally like natural because they. If I wasn't there, many of them probably would have abandoned ship. After
yeah,
experiencing some of the frustrations. But you can see these are people who are like professional designers and have a high degree of like comfort with very complex tools, and so they do get frustrated, and they also get, I
yeah,
think, a little bit embarrassed when things don't behave the way that they would expect, and this like
yeah.
stranger is watching them on the screen. So that was like a fun experience.
Mm-hmm. That's
um,
cool.
yeah, but what we learned from that is that the most important thing, so in thinking about users who specifically need to master Webflow, the most important thing, um, the most important predictor of their experience is, like, probably no surprise, is their level of coding experience. And so users
Mm.
with some HTML and CSS experience just have a much easier time. So they immediately recognize classes. They understand the box model implicitly, and they can look at a web page that's, built somewhere else, and they can immediately break down. They like know how it's constructed. And so like that is just such a set of foundational pieces that then within Webflow, you're mostly like learning the UI, you're mostly learning where things are. But you already
Yeah,
have the mental model of like, how do I structure a web page that I want to build? Whereas
yeah,
users who are, coming from a more like pure design background, really struggle with those foundational elements. So we ask them like, what's hard and what's easy. And so users with every user is like, what's pretty easy is like navigating the style panel, styling text and elements,
yeah,
changing background colors, right? Like even adding elements from the add panel, super easy. Double clicking on something to edit it, very intuitive. What was hard, especially for people with no code experience, is some of the things I just alluded to: positioning, alignment, layout. Um, a lot of popular free response answers in our surveys, like,
yeah.
when I try to drag something on the canvas, why doesn't it work?
Yeah,
How
that's
come I
something.
can't drag to resize?
A lot of people who are just getting into the community from a graphic design background um try to think that they can position anything anywhere on the
Anywhere.
canvas, and
Exactly.
if it's not where they want, they'll just use something in the box model without understanding, like a margin 500 pixels on the left or a margin negative 700 on the right, and then they would go responsive and they're like, everything's broken,
Everything's broken.
I'm gonna abandon ship because I don't get it, you know.
Yeah. And
So
it really comes from, there are these like, it's almost like, when you're in school and you do have to learn some foundational principles of things before
yeah,
jumping into, actually applying it. The other thing that was hard for people without a lot of coding experience is just understanding like, what are CSS classes? How come, a lot of people actually start from a template, which has its own set of problems, right? You're trying to edit this template and you update the style for one thing, and now this other element
yeah,
elsewhere on the page updates, and you don't understand why.
yeah. Yeah, even though it says like being used one element on this page, but 9 times on other pages, right next to the selector name or something. But
Yeah.
even then, it as a graphic designer, it's like I don't really. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, and what is happening, and if the
Yeah.
template that you're using has combo classes, now you're even more confused, right?
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of challenges. And then the other thing that was like interesting for my own personal understanding is that actually what was challenging, the one thing that was challenging for everybody, regardless of coding experience, was interactions. But that's a topic that we will save for another day when we talk about interactions.
Okay.
That was like an interesting learning that also emerged, was that like even if your experience interactions is difficult because it doesn't
Yeah.
really follow any patterns that you know.
I actually did a workshop on interactions over at the Webflow Austin meetup, and what I some Webflow veterans came by, and it was just a very beginner course of how to use interactions animations in Webflow, and I've learned that still a lot of people use the legacy interactions
Yeah.
because they're kind of confused on the interactions 2.0, and I'm like, that's very interesting because I guess it's like I've been using Webflow every day, and so I guess I picked it up really fast because I just have to use it and understand it. But like for someone who's like, you know what, I'm more comfortable in legacy, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing wrong? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a tangent, but I've also been thinking about this. So I'll just comment on it briefly. The tension between interactions 2.0, or the current version of interactions, and legacy interactions is that the new version, as you know, way more powerful. You can do so much more.
Yes.
But legacy interactions, for things that are very simple that you want to reuse over and over, it's much easier from a UX perspective to actually set something up very simply and then reapply
Mm.
it very easily. And so this is something that the interactions team, which I'm also a part of, has been thinking a lot about recently. And so, over the next however many months, we will be starting to work on some of that. So I'll be excited to
Nice.
share that with you. Hopefully
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll have another stream with you on explaining the new stuff about interactions.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So
Um,
back on user onboarding. Yeah.
Yes. So let me show you guys some of the things that we did. And so one of the things
Nice.
that I haven't mentioned that makes this team a little bit different than some of our other product teams, that might be kind of interesting, is that this team actually is a lot more agile and moves a lot faster than some of our other product teams. So if you think about something like CSS Grid or the
Yeah.
Advanced Grid that just launched, right? Like these
Yeah.
are things that take months, sometimes years of planning, of like very carefully planned engineering work. And there's a lot of thought and effort that goes into thinking about what the feature will look like
Mm-hmm.
before we even start building it. Whereas for something like onboarding, because it's less technically challenging, and because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, we're not reinventing the wheel, we're not like creating the first instance of visually using CSS Grid, we can actually use a lot of existing patterns that our users are used to from other design tools or other web apps, and we can also iterate really quickly on them. So a lot of our approach has been, let's just ship something really small and let's
Yeah.
do an A/B test on it, because we can ask users what will be effective. But particularly for new users, anytime they start using the tool, then like they've been tainted, right? So the best way to get
Yeah.
data is actually to just release it live, watch new users go through it, and then measure the differences between these different groups. And
Nice.
so that's been our approach. So the first thing that we started with was that we started the designer, because that's the most overwhelming place, right? You
Yeah.
go through this onboarding, you open up the designer, now you're like, whoa, what do I
Yeah.
do?
Million buttons.
A million buttons. There's this really complicated interface. I start doing things and I get totally lost.
Yeah.
And so, we said, let's not reinvent the wheel here. Let's design like a pretty basic walkthrough for users, and let's tailor it to, kind of, let's shoot for like the middle of the road, if you will. So let's
Yeah.
tailor it to, maybe users who actually don't have that much experience. And so we wanted to do things like introduce the box model and introduce these core concepts, and at least give users like a way to, it's almost like giving users a few search terms, if you will, right? We know that
Yeah.
in 30 seconds you're not going to learn everything, but if we tell you about the box model, if we tell you about classes, maybe it'll create like a little seed in your brain. And as you
Yeah.
continue to use the tool, when you get stuck, you'll like know what to look for. And so
Yeah.
that was one of the goals. Another goal was like, let's actually surface some university content. So as we go through this walkthrough, let's link out to the university so
Okay.
that these courses that are readily available are more easily discovered by users. And then the third goal was to like give a little bit of a UI walkthrough, but honestly, that was like the third, the least important relative to the other two. So,
Yeah.
so I've talked a lot. We tested a bunch of variations. So we tested like embedding full university videos versus these like GIF style autoplay videos. We tested just showing tooltips. We tested just showing a modal with like different slides. And where we landed and where we are today, I will show you guys.
Okay.
So let me share my screen.
There we go.
Can you see?
Oh, okay. So it's a modal.
Yeah, it's a modal. So it's not like rocket science in terms of, complete UX. And there are more advanced things that we definitely are dreaming big about in the future. But our goal here was like, let's get people from 0, which is what we had before, to something. And so you'll see there's just this modal. It says, welcome to Webflow. You're about to build a responsive website without writing a single line of code. And so let's just take a look around. And most people probably won't read this text, but that's okay. We have this like very visually engaging, we have a title and a very visually engaging, video. So let's go. And the first thing that we talk to you about is there's something called a box model, and it's how every website is built. And even if you don't really understand what that is right now, there's a link here to learn more that links you to like the university, 2-minute video about the box model. If you actually have the, so watch that. If not, our hope here is that, this is introducing a concept. When you get stuck later, you understand that maybe it has to do with layout, how web pages are built. And when you get stuck in like 3 to 5 minutes, you can go back and search for this or look up resources around this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep going here.
Okay.
And we start to show you the UX.
I love these little mini clips, mini videos. It shows you what is going to happen before you actually do it.
Yeah, and we tested
nice.
actually some variations. Like we tested, actual videos that you have to click play on. We tested not showing these at all. And we measured, how many people went through the onboarding, how long did they spend on the onboarding? And then like after they completed the onboarding, did they spend more time actually building things in the designer? So this like format is kind of like the best of all these variations that we've tried so far.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is this the winner? And like to me, it's a winner.
So far, it's the winner, but the beauty of this is like we can constantly iterate. And so this tooltip, right? So this says work with dynamic data in the CMS. This is actually a tooltip that only opens if you started from a template that has CMS already part of it.
Oh, okay.
So that, because we're trying to strike this balance between showing you too much and getting you overwhelmed, but teaching you everything versus like showing you like 3 to 4, videos or slides that you're more likely to complete. And so this is one where we said, not everybody needs to know about the CMS right away, but if you picked a template that has CMS in it and you don't know what it is, or you don't know that it's there, and you're trying to edit something inside of a collection list, you just get so confused right away that, for that subset of users, we should probably surface this.
Yeah. Hold on real quick. For everyone in the live chat room, if you have a question, please hold it for the end. At the end of this demo, Chloe will be on hand to answer any questions you have about first-time user experience or user onboarding. And also at the very, very end, I'll be looking over your Webflow projects and giving you feedback. So yeah, just stay tuned for that. All right, so this pop-up right here, the styles panel, the biggest panel of all.
Yeah, this what we found actually is that most people can figure out the style panel pretty easily. So we put this in here
Hmm.
because it's a very important piece of the UX.
Yeah.
But actually, this is like something that users don't normally struggle with as much as some of these like concepts. So we also show you the navigator. We show you preview. A lot of people
Hmm.
don't know where preview is. And we mention like, by the way, there's this notion of designing responsively. If you haven't heard about it before, and like
Hmm.
here are the breakpoints, and you can start toggling these and playing around with it. And then finally, we say if you ever need a refresher, you can relaunch this walkthrough at any time via this menu, which is pretty important. So if you get stuck,
Nice.
um, 5 minutes from now, and you want to go back, and you're interested in, maybe watching some of these videos or going through this again, you can from here. And we also mention Webflow University, and you get this little tooltip regardless of like if you exit early, you still see this so that everyone sees this, even if you didn't go through all of the tooltips.
Okay. Nice.
And that's it. That's the first demo. So it's pretty simple, right? It's not
Yeah.
like, the most advanced like onboarding ever, but we have found that it's been very effective. So for most of our users, actually across our entire user base, it's increased. So what we measure is the percent of users who, after creating a project and opening the designer, get to about 5 minutes of active time actually clicking around and
Mm.
designing inside the designer. And so what we found is that that percentage went from, something like around 40%. It fluctuates, but it was around 40% to around, 43, 44%. So it's not a dramatic boost, but across our thousands of users who sign up every week, that actually does make a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, every little bit counts,
every
and
little bit counts.
at least it's going up, and that's a great indicator to say, okay, what else can we do to help people who don't understand the concepts of HTML and CSS understand Webflow? So that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the
Mm.
first demo. The second thing that I'll show you guys is like a little bit different. So after we, as we were optimizing this in the designer experience, we also thought about, well, where should people start when they first sign up for Webflow?
Yeah.
Um, should we just give you a page of 35 templates and let you pick whatever you want? For some users,
Mm.
yes. For some users, if they say, I have no experience, I want to build a portfolio site, or I have no experience and I'm just checking out Webflow, wouldn't it be
Yeah.
better if we actually gave you a recommended starting template? Um, that way you don't get stuck on this page where you have limitless options, you start browsing templates, and you never make it into the designer potentially. And
Yeah.
if we looked at the data, about 20% of users were getting to the screen where you can create a new project and then not continuing on. So we knew that that was like
Huh.
actually a problem. Um, and so one of the things that we're doing now is, so this is this is probably looks different than the sign up experience that many of you had. But this is like actually hot off the presses. This launched, maybe yesterday, but this is our new sign up
Oh.
segmentation flow. So after you just signed up, we actually ask you more questions now. So we say, what best describes you? I'm a web designer. Are you going to be building sites for clients? This is a new question that we added. So let's say I'm going to be building sites as a freelancer. Do you have experience? I've never built a website. And what do you want to build today? Let's say I want to build a business site.
Okay.
And what we go to is actually we say, based on what you told us, we recommend you starting from one of these two places. Either this
Nice.
onboarding tutorial where it's interactive and we teach you some fundamental principles, or from this like business starter because you told us you wanted to build a business site. And this is a known template that we have designed that's pretty good for new users. So this is one of the new things that we've been
And
experimenting.
those will change based on what you. That's nice.
Yeah. And we're still
Nice.
testing like which templates work best for what kind of users. So one of the things that we learned that was a little bit surprising is that if you say you want to build an e-commerce store, and we recommended like a starter e-commerce template that was very basic, that actually performed worse than if we just let you browse every single template. And we think that reason is because a lot of e-commerce users actually do want to start from a template, and they're trying to find something that's like aesthetically beautiful and
Yeah, that makes
specifically fits
sense.
them. And so we're still like experimenting with what are the right sets of things to recommend.
Yeah. Yeah, because e-commerce people, they're more like, I have all these products and I just need to put them online. I don't want to have to start from scratch.
Right. Yeah. And I'm looking
Yeah.
for like a template that exactly fits, my um, store type and my like industry or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
And so one of
Yeah.
the other things that I wanted to show you guys was this onboarding tutorial, because this is pretty cool, and we've spent a little bit of time working on it. This is still in A/B test mode, so even if you sign up today, you may not, you actually may not get this. So you're randomly assigned to like a specific A/B test group, and that way we can, in a statistically sound way, measure whether or not something had impact. And so a
Mm-hmm.
subset of new users actually get this based on your responses to those questions. But what happens is, you click this and you open up in the designer, and it's just a project, just like any other template.
Huh.
But it's much more step by step. So if you don't want to watch videos and you're much more of a, I just want to play around, I learn by doing, and you have very little coding experience. So if you say that you have some HTML and CSS knowledge, we don't show you this because this is like probably too basic. But if you say I've only ever used a site builder or I really don't have any experience, then this is one of the recommended templates.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty simple. So you just scroll through it, and there's like these 4 steps. Well, it's deceptively simple, I would say. We actually went through a
Yeah.
lot of iterations of this, and we tested it with users again, where they had to like record their screen as they were going through it, which was
Uh-huh.
like a fun experience for the team. But we introduced the box model, and we say you're actually going to be building this like very simple card component. So
Okay.
hopefully by the end of the tutorial, you will have actually done something. And we're going to explain to you that it's made out of boxes, and these are like the elements that you're actually going to use, and you're going to style
Mm-hmm.
them and put them in this layout. And we kind of explain, if you read through this, what parent elements and child elements are.
Yeah. This kind of reminds me of the Flexbox and grid
Yeah,
tutorials that we did. Yeah. So that's where the idea came from.
yeah, that's where the idea came from. I think that's where some of these like design elements even came
Oh
from.
yeah,
I think
that
like the
makes
grid,
sense.
right, had like some things like this. But this is like this is designed for a different set of users, right? If you're learning the Flexbox game, or you're in the like grid playground, you're probably
Yeah.
already somewhat experienced with Webflow. This is like drag a div block into this workspace.
Yeah.
And that's going to be your like card, and then you're going to drag these like headings in, and we show you this is kind of what it's supposed to look like.
Nice.
So the user is
Yeah.
supposed to literally like build like build the elements as they go.
Well, that's cool.
And if you're a pro Webflow user, you probably think this is so basic and easy.
Yeah.
But think back to the first time you ever opened this interface, and you were totally overwhelmed, and you were starting from a blank canvas, and there was no one sort of walking you through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then it starts to get, let's add a background image, and we show you kind of like, here are the things in the style panel that you should look for.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add this like, background image. We do teach you how to style things, but we don't really, we tried to keep it very simple. So we don't even really introduce the concept of CSS classes as part of this tutorial.
Oh yeah.
Our thinking is like, let's just keep it really simple, and we'll allude to it. So we say like, you can, use a selector. So if users want to try that, they can. But for the most part, they're still styling manually. But we do introduce Flexbox as just like
Ooh.
the way that you can get, the layout correct. And what we found, so we did some user testing, and actually users are able to do this, new users, whereas like trying to explain classes, it started to get people pretty confused. And we found that we had higher success just by honing in on, let's just style these three very simple elements. And then at the end, what we say is like, you did a really great job. You built this card, right? This is like a very common web component. And then we say, here's like a bonus challenge. So
Ooh.
we don't explain to you exactly how to make this, but it uses the same principles as this other card. And so you should try to make it yourself.
Nice. Yeah,
And so
that'll
this
get
one,
their wheels jogging. Yeah.
yeah, and so this one we're still testing, but hopefully if this is like pretty successful with new users, what we'll do is we'll build out more advanced tutorials for users who have a little bit more experience. We'll build out, a series of content potentially. So after you've done this one, maybe you're ready to like put some cards in a layout. And so we can teach you, we can introduce grid, or we can introduce like more advanced concepts over time. And so this is, again, just kind of like just the beginning.
These are all awesome ideas, and hopefully, more and more people are starting to, are with these tests, are starting to stay in the designer more and learning, because that's the whole purpose of Webflow. Not to make the web, to make building for the web not scary, and this seems like a great middle ground between the Webflow University videos, and the articles that the education team makes, and the live streams that I do. So awesome work to you and your team.
Thank you. I'm
So
gonna stop
yeah.
sharing.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the live chat questions, yeah, go ahead and get your questions ready, and then Chloe will get to them. But at the end of the day, what is your ultimate goal for all of this new user activation?
Yeah, so I'll say two things. Number one is I've sort of mentioned it a bunch of times throughout this already, but it's worth repeating, which is that we'll never really be done here. We're
Yeah.
always going to be constantly optimizing, because over time our users are going to change, the use cases are going to change, the types of things that you can do in Webflow are going to change, and so new user activation will be a journey that will never finish. But the goals to me are for every single new user who signs up for Webflow. What we want to do is understand what value means to them within, like what does using Webflow to create value mean, and that could
Yeah.
mean actually becoming a freelance designer and now running my business on Webflow. It could mean
Yeah.
like I'm an entrepreneur and I'm starting a business, and I want to operate my website on Webflow because I know it's going to be really easy for me to maintain. It could be that as a student, I just want to build a portfolio site, and that's really slick and cool, and get that up and running really fast. And so, regardless of what your goals are and what that value means to you, we want to be able to support you. We want to be able to understand that journey and support you in getting there.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. And I hope, like, at least for the students that I saw with their portfolio sites, when I talked to a few of them, I said, you can do so much outside of a template. You have the design skills. Now just translate that onto the web without a template, and you'll have a unique portfolio site. But again, it takes some of that fundamental knowledge of HTML and CSS, which they're scared of. And hopefully, this journey that you and your team are taking will help soften the road to building on the web. So, thank you so much to your team for working on this. For everyone who has a question, go ahead and put your questions now for Chloe if you have one. and I think I saw some already. And while we're waiting for the questions, I'm gonna take my I'm gonna ask the first question. When will we have a little wolf character at the corner of the screen that says, "Hey, I see you're building a portfolio site. Do you need any help?"
You mean like Clippy? We'll call him Wolfie, and he'll
Yes.
also just occasionally, when you don't want him to be there, pop up with like a speech bubble, and he's going to be very annoying and very difficult to get rid of. So we're working on that, and that will be ready anytime now.
April Fools next year. Do it.
Yes, exactly.
That would be funny. Kind of annoying. We'll lose some community members, but I don't know. Yeah, will it be worth it? Yeah. One of the questions that I saw in the live chat, let me scroll up. Someone asked, "What tool are you using for?" Oh, there we go. Robert is asking, "What do you guys test with?" And I'm wondering if that's what tool or what platforms you're using. So yeah.
Yeah, so there are a lot of A/B testing platforms that are out there. We are actually our A/B tests are kind of homegrown. So we actually the system by which we randomly assign you to a group is
Mm-hmm.
actually just something that we built, and then we use
Oh.
Mixpanel to do our like metrics and tracking. So those groups are fed into Mixpanel, and that's where we can compare like the testing results. But what this means is that like our A/B testing infrastructure so far is pretty manual, and so that could change in the coming months. But for now, it works pretty well for us.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Anything else? I think Eli's asking UX idea when exiting the onboard tutorial window in the designer at any stage, it should shrink down visual. It should
Mm-hmm.
shrink down visually to the question mark box at the bottom, so
Yes.
users know to bring it up again. Huh.
That is
Thank
a
you,
great
Eli.
idea. And that is something that I've seen in some other tools as well, which is so what he's describing is like when you exit to visually point you to that place where you can relaunch it to have like maybe an animation or effect or something that goes like,
Yeah. Rather
not
than
what my
just
arm is doing, but you see, you
yeah,
understand what I'm saying.
yeah. Awesome.
That is
Let's
a
see.
great idea.
Nathan, can we expect to see built? Can we expect to see built-in split testing with Webflow? Not sure what that question
Ah,
means, Nathan.
so I think that he means can our users use Webflow to run A/B tests?
Oh, okay.
And so I believe that we do have an integration right now with Google Optimize. So you can use that to, for example, test different variations of like your landing pages. And that's kind of like the first piece of that. So if you use Google Optimize or you want to try that out, that is already integrated with Webflow.
Hmm.
We don't have in our roadmap like more extensive native tools for A/B testing, but more integrations could potentially come in the future. So let us know if you have any specific, you know, any specific desires around A/B testing using Webflow.
Okay, and I think it's in the wish list already. So if you check wishlist.webflow.com, go ahead and upvote that
Good call.
idea. Just search for A/B testing. And we'll see where we can put it in the roadmap. Normal TV nerd says, "Will we get on the onboard tutorial if we already are using Webflow?"
So you should not get the onboarding tutorial. There might be, depending on how we recently changed how we implemented it, but sometimes you might for some like for a glitchy reason receive it, but you shouldn't be seeing it if you're an existing user. If you do want to reactivate it, you can always go to that question mark down in the bottom left where
Hmm.
where I showed you that like relaunch
Yeah.
tutorial. And I believe if you click on that and you click reset walkthrough, you can go through it at any time that you want.
What about people who say just signed up today or yesterday and they're not part of that group that gets to see the onboarding tutorial template, the project? Can Is there a way I can like at least for me as a friend of designers, like, oh, let me send you a copy of this template so you can start learning? Is there any way we can do that?
So we could definitely share like a read only link. I'll have to think about how to do that. Right now, the only place that we do surface it is in that new user interface. But one of the things that our team is thinking about is like, well, what if it's not your first session in Webflow? What if it's your second or third session and you would still
Yeah.
benefit from going through the onboarding tutorial? How should we
Yeah.
like show that to you as a user? So we're still figuring out like what the right interface for that is. Is it when you sign into your dashboard? Like, should there be a tutorial section that you can open? And what does that look like? And
Mm-hmm.
if we have like 5 or 6 tutorials, like where should they live? How do we track like which ones you've done?
Oh.
So there's a lot that we're still thinking about and working on.
Okay. All right. But yeah, if you ever release that onboarding template project thing, please let the community know because it would help a lot of people.
For
Yeah.
now, we can definitely like at the very least, and this is how I was doing the like testing with new users on the internet to get some feedback as we were iterating on this. Is I just created a read only link and I just shared that with people. So we can definitely do that with people who are watching and other people in the
Okay.
community. You just won't be able to like obviously save your progress in
Mm.
that format, right? But you can go
Yeah.
through it.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Let's see here. How do you implement the box model when building your personal portfolio? Okay, so that's a tutorial thing. I guess this is for you. What's your favorite website built in Webflow, if you have any?
Ooh, I feel like I've seen so many awesome websites that I can't remember them all. And I definitely would not be able to pick one. But my favorite ones are, the ones that are really inventive with layout, right? So
Yeah.
I actually really like the websites that are like kind of like an expression of like brutalism. And it's like,
Hmm.
a store where like um, the products are like just in a big box and it's very, very simple and minimal. And it doesn't really look like any other modern web page, right? Those are probably my favorite because they're like so inventive and they also speak to just the power of what you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I've seen some of those, and especially whenever Ryan, I feel like when Ryan's unleashed and does something crazy, or JP too, in our brand
Yeah, that
design team
whole
when they
team,
do something
which
crazy.
is growing really fast, I feel like
Yeah.
they just like make really, really amazing things.
Yeah, I think you'll remember the IX2 launch page. Where it was just crazy, you know. So yeah, those are my favorite too. And I know it's kind of biased saying that I love our marketing pages, but I mean I do. It's so unique. Any other questions for Chloe before we let her go? Let's see here. Scrolling up. How can I get a Webflow T-shirt? I mean, we are working on something on the side to help people get Webflow t-shirts. We'll announce that later once it's more finalized. What else? I think okay, so Pablo's asking, would similar tutorials be available for editors too, or is just for designers? Ooh, good question. Like the CMS editor?
That's a great question. That is something that we are definitely thinking about, which is what are the right set of tutorials for people who like shouldn't start in the designer. And
Yeah.
so that's further down in our roadmap, but definitely something that we're thinking about and eventually will likely work on. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, because I've seen a lot of stories from community members saying I have to train my client personally for each client every time.
We do have, or are we working on like some university videos that you can use and share with clients around the editor. But yeah, right now there's not like a tutorial in the same way like we have an onboarding tutorial for
Yeah,
the designer that's
but I'm
built in.
glad that's in the roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Thank you so much for showing us what you and your team are working on. I'm glad this is something we're finally doing and bringing in more people to show the power of Webflow and how it's not really that complicated if you think about it. But yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the community before we let you go?
Only that if as you guys have taught your friends or family members or loved ones like how to use Webflow, and you have other suggestions or tips for us in thinking about how to train users and how to get new users on board, regardless of their experience level or what they're trying to achieve, feel free to share those ideas with me, because we're always like trying to brainstorm new ideas to test. And thank you, Nelson, for having me on. It's been super fun to share some of this with everyone.
Oh, not a problem. Where can people reach you at? Like, are you on Twitter or anything?
I am not on Twitter. I am like an 85-year-old, some 85-year-olds are on Twitter, but I am not on Twitter. You can email me at chloe@webflow.com, or, I monitor our like wish list and forum posts as well. So if you have ideas, feel free to share them there.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Chloe. And thank you to your team again, and have a great day.
Too. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye. All right, everyone. So that's the end of the interview with Chloe, and it's just so amazing to see how Webflow is being broken down to the very, very basics, and it's very nice, and it gives me a lot of hope for the next generation of designers, especially those that are graduating this year or in the next few years, because they'll have this opportunity to build for the web without coding, and again, take their graphic design skills and place that on the web without any fear of code. But then from there, from those basics of the onboarding journey, they can start to learn code visually, which I love. I love it when people learn new things. All right. So if you have any questions about general questions about Webflow or web design, or you want to show off what you're working on and you want feedback on your current Webflow project, go ahead and post the link in the chat room or the question in chat room, and we'll get to it. And I need to get a browser window up. So while I'm waiting for your links, let me get this browser window going. Let me close out Zoom. Pew. Okay, let me see. If I go here. Okay, cool. It worked. Move it. Yep. Right there. Cool. All right. Show me the links. Show me the questions. And again, everyone who's in live chat room, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much for being in the community. I really enjoy doing these streams for you all. I love to show the behind the scenes of what Webflow is doing, because we really, really want people to learn how to just build for the web. All right. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Danny. Yes, Webflow community is like a family. So glad you're part of it. And yes, my shirt, if you flip Webflow, it does say wolf do. All right. If there's no questions or links, I know a couple people said or asking if I'm going to be reviewing sites, so I'm just waiting for those. And if I don't see any links or questions, we can just end it here. Oh, here we go. We got our first one from, what is it? I can't. What's it? Blixem. So let me just check this off stream. Okay, cool. We got some interactions going. All right, let's see what you're working on. Nope, wrong one. There it goes. All right, so just post it. .webflow.io. Interesting interactions. Okay, all right. All right, so my first thought about this interaction, let me refresh it. I love it, okay? It's different, it's playful. It kind of reminds me of playful type, like, I don't know, like Pixar or something, with Luxo jumping up and down and jumps on the letter I. But you have to think about this when you're making long intro animations. What if someone comes to your site every day or every hour? That person would have to wait for this. I know the person could just scroll down right away, but it feels like you have to wait for this to happen. Okay, so this might take some custom code, but what if you can skip the intro interaction based on a cookie. Like if the user has already been on your site and has seen this interaction already, this animation, then place a cookie saying this user has already been to my site. Don't play the animation. Maybe something like that. Okay? All right, scrolling down, let's see what you got. Okay, we have some interactions going there. Okay, we have a background color going from opaque black to opaque white. You have a shadow. Oh, okay. All right. I feel like there should be some text here. I think this is a work in progress. So I'm not really going to dive too deep into this. Okay, but you have a lot of interactions happening. At this part, I really don't know where to look because there's so many things happening. All right, so this right here is a lesson in content organization and type hierarchy. There's so many things yelling for my attention visually that I'm like, where do I look? And then you have this box changing colors. Am I supposed to, is this the most important part? Because it's so big, the letters are spaced out so much, and the background color is changing. Or is this the most important part? Because it's in the very center of the screen, and yeah, Instagram right here, and this is Instagram, so these two are connected, but why are they connected in this type of direction? If you can see my mouse. Yeah, you can see my mouse. So I'm confused there. And then you have Facebook, and I'm like, why is Facebook here? Facebook's logo isn't anywhere, but yet Instagram. So you may want to space this out more. Space it out meaning like you go on Google Docs first or something like that, and then just write out the story of your site first rather than designing it first, because I feel like you designed it first. All right. Let me just keep going. Okay, now we have a contact me. Yeah, it's a work in progress. There is no link. There's no form. Okay, so what I would suggest is go back to Google Docs or Microsoft Word, whatever you use to write stuff, and write down the actual story of your brand, and then make sure that you have your story in a good flow so people understand what's going on rather than just putting everything all at once. Okay, and I've already said this. It takes 6 seconds to keep a user on your site, and 3 of those seconds are the load time. But the next 3 seconds are super important. It's where the user needs to know where are they at, and then what is it about, and then where do they go for more information. Right now, I know where I'm at, just post it, but I don't know what it's about, and I don't know where to get more information. There's no button. There is the indicator that I need to scroll down, but what am I scrolling down for? There's no indicator. So, yeah, hit those points and come back next week and show me what you've worked on. But I can see that you like interactions a lot. Keep at it. Keep learning interactions. At the same time, don't put too many interactions because your animations have to have a point. If you're doing animations, just doing animations, and they don't help explain the brand or get the user to the goal of the website, then you may just want to remove it. Okay, so less is more. All right, but keep going. Let's see here. Okay, wow, a lot of links while I was talking about that one. Let's go to, please check out JTL. Please check out my new startup and brand, Marshmallow. Completely new to websites. Happy with the results. Let's see here. Hold on. Let me look at it off stream. Okay. On-demand intelligent gift cards for your business. Okay. All right. I like the colors. It's different. I like this swoop right here. That's cool. I'm glad you're using this because like so many people are using the stripe.com thing where it's just a hard angle, a diagonal, and it's like, okay, that's been overused. Let's do something different, and you did something different. So good job. Good job there. All right. All right. Oh, whoa, look at that right here. That nutshell. That's cool. Okay, what we do. Oh, the interactions don't reset. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, this explains stuff. I like it. That was enjoyable. Okay, cool. One thing, maybe you can space this out a bit. Or no, never mind. Ignore me. Okay, cool. This is cute. I love it. I'm digging it. Is this gonna do something? So I was expecting something to happen. Wait, maybe if I click this? No. So I was expecting something to happen because something happened here, something happened here. So the rule of three, like, oh, okay, 1, 2, and then nothing happened. Oh, I kind of wanted something to happen. And I thought this was going to make something happen as far as interactions. But moving on. Okay. Click me. Okay. So there's that. I clicked it thinking this is connected to this. So now I'm thinking this is connected to this because I didn't see click me until I scrolled down here. Cool. Very cool. Cute. I'm liking it. Oh, I thought I can click that. Nice. I'm a fan. Good job. Okay, background scroll interaction. I love it. Okay, see, this is what I mean by storytelling. As I scroll down, the story is being told, and not too much content is in my face. Nice. You're using sticky too. Oh my gosh, precision sticky. Yeah. All of this. Do more of this. I love it. Wait, what? How? That's creepy. All right, that's a little bit creepy. Did you just change that for me right now, or or is there like a cookie or something? Because it's Shopify, and I've signed up for Shopify just to test something. Kinda creeped out. Why is my name there already? All right, let me see here. Who did that again? Who's that? Who's Marshmallow? Let me see here. JTL. Yeah. What are you doing, man? Good job, though. Good job. All right. Next one. Oh, Noah. What's up, Noah? What are you building for us today? Custom select fields. What? What is this? I'm interested. Custom select fields. A clonable project using the Nice Select jQuery plugin to style and customize a select field in your Webflow project. What? This one? Ooh. Yeah, so in Webflow, with your drop-down select fields for a form, you can't really style it. And Noah has found a way to do it using the jQuery plugin. And it looks pretty nice. Very clean. Cleaner than the default browser drop-down, right? So if you want this, let's see here. Oh, okay, so that's where you get the code from. So yeah, if you want this, go ahead and clone it from Noah. Thank you so much for sharing. Credits, icons. Oh, for the icons. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Noah. Let's see here. Next one. Let's go to. Oh, there's a lot. Normal TV nerd. What you got? The Northwestern District, 95 years. Okay. So I was confused at first. As you saw my head, I was like moving around like what's going on. I had an inkling this had to do with a church, but didn't know until I looked down at this flyer and saw the word church. Okay. So, again, where am I at? What is it about? Where do I go for more information? So I know where I'm at. I kind of know I kind of know what it's about. It's about the Northwestern District, but 95 years, like, kind of confused what's going on. And then when I got here, I was like, okay, so 95 years, this church has been operating for 95 years or something. So, yeah. So, kind of confused. And where do I go for more information? I guess down here is more information. Okay, so this is a work in progress because there's not even a footer. So this is based off a template, I think. Careful with your logo. It should be on the top left. It feels weird pushing. It's not really centered. I think you have like a float or something here, so you want to push that to the left. So yeah, you might want to tell the story of the church first. Let's see. Do you have an about page or history? Okay, so yeah, nothing is clicky. Still working on it. So yeah, probably put the word church somewhere here. And I know if unless you're sending this link to people who already go to the church, then they already know what it's about. But if someone's just browsing around like me, it's like, what is this about? I don't know. Watch out for your padding here or your margin in between this line, which is the hero row and your upcoming events. For these, I would make these in some sort of card format where it's a image at the top and then the text at the bottom. So that way you can have both of these in one row. And then you might want to work on some footer to balance the page. Okay. But come back next week with any updates, and I'd love to see them. All right. Moving forward. Tax Pro website by Jader. All right. Right. Okay. We make tax filing simple and easy. Okay. Do you need that hover effect? It's kind of fun, but taxes isn't really fun or playful. It's a very serious time because it's about finances, and some people need tax help, and so that's what a company like who does tax services does. When people like, I'm confused about taxes, I need some professional help. So this hover doesn't really add to the brand or to the story or to the conversion of the site. So I would really remove that. But your other interactions, very slick, love it, simple. Is this part of a template? Maybe, but how you've customized the template, really nice. Love it so far. So again, those 6 seconds, 3 seconds of load. 1, where am I at? Latino American. 2, what is it about? Making tax filing simple and easy. And 3, how do I get more information? Bam, learn more. That's what I'm talking about. Great job, Jader. Let's look at your menu. Nice and clean. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Let's go down. I love this grid, how you have stuff that are overlapping. Very nice. Watch out with the text hitting this right here. Yeah. This little this T is hitting this. Maybe this can be like a font size smaller. Okay. Okay, lorem ipsum, so it's not done yet. I was wondering how come trusted over 17 years, this image doesn't really give me the sense of trust. It's just a co-working space or an office space or something like that, or a makeup. Those are all mirrors, right? Yeah. So make sure that the image explains this, and then vice versa. This explains the image. But yeah, so let's move on. We do provide booking. Oh God, this template is nice. Nice. Cool. I'm guessing there's going to be a photo here. Nice. Good job. All right, moving on. Blixum College of Open Hand. Let's see here. Ooh. They're sharp. Wow. So I'm really interested in the background video. And the background video explains the foreground text. And the foreground text explains the background video. Love it. So scroll down. Not sure why you chose to round these borders. Doesn't make to me it doesn't make sense. This circle, not sure what this circle means. That's the first time seeing these two circles. If this has some sort of meaning, make sure you call it out what it means in some way. Scrolling down. Okay, so you have the rounded corners. So again, every design decision needs to have a purpose. If you're just doing it just to do it, then don't do it at all. Okay? Because if I asked you, why did you make the borders that much rounded? If you can give me a whole backstory or some data to explain why you chose that, then I'm like, okay, fair enough. But if there's nothing, then don't do it at all. Okay, cool. College of the Open Hand. Yeah. So this type of, oh, interesting. So this type of sketched out arrow, it's the first time that type of design is being used on this page. So I'm not sure if you need it, but yeah. Okay, so you have another page. All right. Cool. Okay, so I'm guessing it's work in progress. Lorem ipsum. Okay. Cool. Keep going. Eric Cruz with your portfolio site. All right. So what I always say about portfolio sites is, does it tell your story first? Is that you skating? Proud father of 2 and lucky husband. I'm currently a designer back now, part-time tooler, focused on pushing. See, that's what I'm talking about. Tell your story first. He does it with the video and this paragraph. There it is. Love it. Let's go. Scroll down. I love it. This grid that you're doing. Okay, parallax scrolling too. Look at that. Nice and subtle. See? Boom, done. This hero row tells enough about you to make people go, oh, this person's different, you know? And everyone's different. Everyone has their own backstory. I love it when people tell their story first rather than showing their work first. Because you are not your work. You are a unique human. Tell why you're unique, right? And Eric, you just did that. Great job. Love it. And let's look at your interaction again. Look at that. It's like, here's me, and then, so here's my story in video form, and then here's my story in text. Yes. All of that. Okay. So Jader, okay. All right, I like that. Nice photography. Okay, nice spacing. I have nothing about. Oh, okay. There we go. I thought there was going to be no more content. Nice. I got nothing for this. This is nice. This tells the story of this, which then tells this story and how we made it down to here. Like, this is the beginning of the story, and then you get down here, and here's our current product. Love it. This. Okay. I was hoping like images or something would fill this space. It feels very it doesn't feel balanced. but that's just me. Design is subjective. Great job, Jader. All right. Let's get the last couple of sites. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. 3 sites. Pro Geek Tech. Wait, didn't I already look at this? No? Jader, I'm looking at 3 of your sites. All right. Okay, Pro Geek Tech. Okay, okay. Yeah. I feel like this needs to go up a little bit because there's like a lot of space here, and I don't know why. We got a video going. Oh, okay. Watch out. Yeah, kind of glitched out there. Not sure why. Press play. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. Nice. Nice. If there's a way, put all your learn more buttons on the same row. Having them step up like this kind of seems weird. So make sure all learn more is on the same row. And you can do that with grid. Like this could be like some sort of grid where the learn more buttons are in 3 different cells but in the same row, but yet these 3 boxes are different sizes. So it's possible using the new Webflow CSS grid. Why is this ball on top of this? Have you used that before? Kinda here. Not sure why. Because it's not even centered. It's not. Maybe this is supposed to go inside of here? Not sure. Okay. Watch out. This seems a little bit too close to this row of cards because oh well, you have the same spacing. Okay, never mind. Ignore me. Recent projects instead of project because you have multiple. Okay, now you have the ball again. Okay. Right. Yeah. Cool. All right. 2 more. Wow, Jader, another one? Okay. Let me get to David's first, and then we'll do yours last, Jader. Wow. David, saucy design. Ooh, I'm hungry. Okay. Oh, that goes on top of the... That's interesting choice. It goes on top of the nav bar. Okay. You did stuff for Star Wars? What did you do? Okay. So this is the design company. Okay. So when it comes to portfolio sites, including agency sites, again, story. To me, it's all about story first. That makes you different. However, again, if your site is making conversions, meaning people are calling you, people are clicking on let's chat, and you're always booked with projects, then who am I to judge about a design? Okay. And it's just my own opinion that story comes first. And the story, oh wait, about me. So it's one person. So it needs to solve. So if this is your thing, what if this, is up here? This whole row right here. What if it's up here? And it'll be even more cool if this slider right here with your work was actually inside of this background. It's playing inside of your tablet, if your Wacom. That would be cool. Make it different. And this is you, man. This is you. You love solving problems in a creative way. And I really feel like this right here should be your hero row with that slider playing in here somehow. That would be neat, And then you get to this stuff. You can even put this in your hero row too, where it's like you're maybe the hero can say something like, I love to solve business problems with creative solutions, unique creative solutions. Like that's like a small type, and then the bigger type is this, creating visual content for global brands, and you show off these logos, and it's like, oh, that's cool. And the background video has the designs in here. You're like, oh man, that'd be so cool. Something like that. But yeah, I love it. Love the textures you're using. Very saucy. Okay, I had to set up for that stupid joke. Anyways, last one, Jader. Hot button. This is clean. Very clean. Scroll down. What we do. Very clean. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I got nothing. This is nice. Jader, killing it, man. You're killing it. Yeah. All right. So we're going to end the stream there. Great job to everyone who's submitted a link. Keep going at it. I would love to see your links again next week. Yeah, let's go ahead and end the stream. Let's see here. Oh yeah, if you need any account billing or technical help, please go to university.webflow.com/contact, and the customer support team will help you out as fast as they can. However, if you have a design or custom code question, please go to forum.webflow.com. Join the global community there and ask your question there. And do me a favor, if your question is answered, please answer someone else's question so we can all grow together. Just a reminder, this stream happens every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/webflow. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Click subscribe right now, and then click the notification bell so you'll know when we go live. And if you like this stream, go ahead and click that like button. All right. And thank you so much for doing that. Other social medias, facebook.com/webflow, instagram.com/webflow app, twitter.com/webflow. If you want to follow me, it's twitter.com/thepixelgeek. Other than that, anything else? Yeah, that's about it. I'll see you guys next Tuesday for episode 149. And as always, make the web beautiful. See ya.